Hello and welcome to the Boston Loose series of the Talk and Tones podcast. I am your host, Daisy. Today we're talking about a thought that sits quietly on everyone's mind. The idea that our parents really tried for us as children, or even now as adults. But some parts of that experience really hurt us, even then and even now. We're not talking about, perfection today. We're not allocating blame, but we are talking about a story of pain, gratitude, and healing. And joining me today in the studio is a beautiful, beautiful lady, and she's going to be sharing our story with us in a way that feels right to herself. Hi, Familia.
Hi, Daisy.
You're welcome once again.
Thank you so much.
You look really beautiful.
Thank you. So do you.
Thank you. So, Fumilayo Dudu, let's talk about that. How did that name came? How did you come up with that name?
Okay, so when I was younger, I was always the darkest person. I know our people have a way of making fun of, Yadudu. Sometimes they'll call me Isale Pot, And so I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. And that went with me till I think I actually changed my Instagram handle last year to Famila Yadudu.
Oh,
And I felt
okay.
like, okay, yeah, because people are always like, oh, forget the makeup or whatever. People are always like, oh, you're dark. And I just
Let's
figured,
go with this.
it's my identity and it's quite catchy. I mean, a lot of people say
Yes, it
Fumulayo
is.
Dudu, and I'm just like, okay, this is it.
Okay, so for me, let's talk about your childhood. Growing up, what was growing up like? The school you attended, your relationship with your parents. How did growing up shape you into becoming who you are today?
Growing up was like every other normal person. I come from a family of four, myself, my younger brother, and my mom, my dad. And one thing I know is that growing up, I didn't have a lot of friends. And I feel like because sometimes my ways are just different from every other person's ways. And maybe they just feel like, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, you could be talking about food and all that. And then I'll just decide that, you know what? We could actually like travel out of planet Earth. Like, what if we just go to Mars and all that? So it's always a thing of my ways are different from people. And so I didn't have a lot of friends. I knew people, I had people around in school. But at the end of the day, it was always just me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was it. My mom's a teacher. My dad's an editor. And so growing up was fun for me. And because I didn't have a lot of friends, I think that's why I'm this creative person. I tend to do a lot of things. Loneliness sometimes brings that. You start thinking, what next can I do? What else can I do? And my relationship with my parents was okay. I was closer to my dad because, my dad told us stories, gave us comic books. We kind of like saw the world through his eyes. We just came from an average family. And because he was well versed, even before social media, he wrote a book at the age of 17. So we kind of like saw the world through his lens. And my mom, I look a lot like my mom. I look a lot like my mom. And my humor, my wits, I think came from her.
Okay.
So growing up, we're just a family just trying to make sense of this world, pretty much.
Okay, let's talk about your education, what schools you attended, what you do now, and how that shaped you.
Okay, so I attended a public school from GSS1 to GSS3. And then from SS1, I went to Wesley College Science. I think I did about 2 terms before I decided that I don't think science is for me.
For you.
So I went back to art class. And I know sometimes people are like, oh, art students are lesser than science students. It wasn't that. It wasn't just for me. The only subject I liked was geography because it taught me about things out of the world, which I had interest in. But besides all of that, and I think going to public school, going to a private school is one of the things that shaped me into who I am. I'm very flexible. I can be in any world that I want to be. I can be in this world, I can be in this world, and I blend in perfectly.
Okay, so when you hear the statement, my parents did their best, but it still hurts, what does it mean to you?
Well, when I saw the topic, I'm like, okay, I mean, I actually want to talk about this, not just because, I mean, it's coming from a place of healing. I'm totally cool with my parents, and I understand that whatever it is that they did came from a place of loving me, you know. So, and I'm probably going to make mistakes of my own
Of
too,
course.
but it doesn't mean I won't talk about it. Just for someone else out there, maybe a parent out there, someone who wants to have kids, knowing that okay, maybe I can do this differently.
Okay.
Whatever mistake I make will not be the same mistakes my parents made. You know, so when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I want to talk about this because, you know, sometimes parents love you so much to the point where they make certain decisions that they feel is good for you, but it's actually not good for you. Maybe out of fear, maybe out of experience, things that they've experienced in the past, and they are trying to shield you from the backlash of the society or what have you. And then they make certain decisions that aren't so, you know, so good for
Good.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So the part where your parents did their best, where they shielded you from the society and all of that. Can you give us a backstory into all of that?
Okay. So the turning point for me, you know, we're just a regular family. I was always indoors. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of friends. So I didn't really have a lot of experience about the ways of the world. It's just now that it has gotten better. I didn't always know the right things to say. You know, I go out and people are talking about stuff and I don't know how to, not because I couldn't communicate, but because I was so out of touch with the ways of
What's
the world.
happening?
I loved cartoons, I loved movies, and that was everything inside my head, you know. So the turning point was when I wasn't 18, I was in ND1 and I got pregnant, right? And it was a whole lot. Looking back now, I'm like, it must have been tough for them actually. Because right now I'm thinking to myself, a 17 or 18-year-old girl doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
But it didn't feel like that then. It felt like, well, to an extent, I'm an adult, you know. And at that point, my parents were quite supportive, actually. I remember calling my mom. I was in school. This is so funny. Just for you to know that if you're 18, 17, yes, you might think you know everything about the world, but you can be very clueless. So I called my mom to the school just to like tell her. I bought her food.
So you called her to come to the
Yeah, she
school.
came to the school. I
Okay.
bought her food. And right there, I sat here. She was opposite me. And I just told her. And the expression on her face, I won't lie to you. My head was like this, but I was smiling.
You were
I was
smiling.
smiling. I don't know, maybe because I didn't really understand the gravity of what was going on. I mean, I knew, but because I'm like, it's not that deep, you know. She was like, she, and I'm like, what's
What's
going
going
on?
on?
Well, besides all of that, I was in school. I didn't go home. It was after the semester that I went home, and it was okay. But at a point in time, you know, there's this thing about our society where, and I see it a lot. Once, I'm not saying that teenage pregnancy is good. I mean, I would not advise it because if you don't have supportive parents, if you don't have certain things, you will suffer.
Of course. Of
Yeah,
course.
that's just it. That's just the truth. And so at that point, they probably thought the best thing at that point was, okay, just go to the man's house, you know, because they were trying to shield me from the backlash I was going to take. And of course, they were trying to shield themselves too,
Also, yeah.
because like you're working, you're like, oh, look at that child, because people would think you didn't do your best as a parent.
Were your parents religious? Like were they very
My mom,
religious?
yeah, my mom.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't go to church throughout. And I kind of like understand her because even in church, I remember one time something like that happened. And even me then, I had this mindset. I was looking at the girl, it's like, oh,
How can
yeah, how
you
can
do
this
that?
happen? Like, how can you do that? And one thing happened that till now I feel very bad.
Okay.
You know, in church, I was in a choir. This girl came to join us. And because we heard that she was pregnant, she came to rehearsals on Saturday and nobody spoke to her.
Oh wow.
Nobody spoke to her. When I remember, I'm like, that was very wrong. And the adults that were supposed to know better, the adults that were supposed to tell us that you don't do this,
that.
they did the same. And so she never came to church again.
Again.
Yeah. And I'm sure it is something that she still remembers. Sometimes I feel like I wish I could see her now and just apologize that this should not have happened. Because I also went through that process.
Okay.
You know.
So when you discovered you were pregnant, what was the thoughts that, ran through your mind at that point?
I won't lie to you. And because I didn't have friends, I didn't know about a lot of things. I was just like, okay, I'm not dead, but I feel like my parents could kill me, but they didn't.
Okay.
And because I'm the kind of person who adapts easily to situations, a lot of people come and then they're like, oh, for me, you're so strong. It's just that I've been through certain things, growing up. Like I said, I came from an average family. We didn't have a lot. Sometimes things happen. I adapt to things. So when that happened, I'm just like, okay. And because I was also younger, I didn't really understand it. I knew what was happening, but I just felt I'm going to be
Still with
fine.
it.
So that's exactly what happened.
Okay, so you were telling us about when your mom came to school and you told her about the pregnancy thing. I'm sure she felt really disappointed at that point. Now, you said they decided at that point that you should go live with the man who got you pregnant. Now, and you also said that they supported you. Now, can you break down the supportive part in practical terms?
Okay, so the supportive part is that throughout my stay, throughout my ND, because after my ND, I started working. I did IT, then I did my IT at a radio station. But throughout my ND, my parents were there. They paid for my school fees because I know some parents will probably
Yeah.
feel like she's now your property.
Of
That
course.
never happened.
Of course.
That never happened. My dad got me my first. I remember one techno phone he got for me. It was like a week before I gave birth. It came with my brother. He bought two phones, two techno phones. He gave one to me. He gave one to my brother. I'm 3 years older than my brother, and they were like that. I didn't have to rely on this man. The only thing that they did that I feel like they should have done was to let me live with that person.
Okay. If you look back at it now, if you look back at you staying with the man, let me start with how was living with the family, how was living with that man and his family, because I'm sure he was quite young as well.
He wasn't young.
Okay, he wasn't
He
young.
wasn't
Okay,
young.
you were in ND1 or ND2 when you got
This
pregnant.
person was 11 years older than I am.
Okay, so
Yes, I mean, I never actually thought anything about age because my dad is 10 years older than my
than
mom.
your mom. Okay.
And, it was okay. But at that point, I was young. He wasn't young.
Okay. So
So,
you were living with him.
yes.
Okay.
By the time I was like 5 months gone, or 5, 6 months gone, I was living with him.
Okay. What was it like? What was the experience like living with him?
It was, like I said, I adapt to situations a lot, situations that I honestly should not adapt to. And I tend to bottle things in because I don't know why, because I don't want to burden anybody. But I feel like they should have seen through it because there was a time my mom came to see me. That was after I gave birth. She came to see me, and at the gate, I just broke down in tears because I knew something wasn't right. I wasn't sure what it was, but I felt like I was in a cage. It's not as if I was married to this person, but I feel like I was in a cage and I just broke down. So that was it. And the so-called person in question, made certain decisions that should not have been made. You know, growing up, we didn't have a lot, but we were just always on our lane. We didn't have to go and borrow money or do any of those things. Whatever it is we have is what we have. But when you're with someone who makes certain decisions, and I was pretty much a teenager, so the entire thing was just overwhelming for me. But I still adapted with the situation.
Okay. The adapting stage while you were pregnant and the adaptive stage when you gave birth, what was the difference? When motherhood comes in, there's a lot that changes. Your body changes, there's the hormonal change, your mental health and all of that. How did you cope?
Well, another thing, I adapt a lot with situations. Looking back now, if some of those things that happened to me then happened to me now, it would have been different. Because I'll probably understand the levity of some of those things. But then I didn't really understand. I just felt, well, it's happening. What do I have to do? I was running a part-time course then. I would go to school. I remember after I gave birth, I think about a week after I had to go to school because we had already resumed ND2.
Okay.
So I was late for like a month before I resumed. I had to go to school. I'm just glad that I didn't have to, when it comes to my body, the way my body changed, I'm so glad that certain things didn't happen that would have, maybe stopped me from wanting
Going
to go to
back.
school or all of that. And like I said, I had some help. So it was easy for me. My baby was on formula. I would go to school, come back. It wasn't easy because I pretty much did a lot of things by myself. I know being a mom, going to school,
Yeah.
it could be a lot, but I did it.
Okay. Let's talk about your child now. Right now, how old is your child?
Is 11. It's going to be
11.
11
Okay,
soon.
he's 11 years. Do you stay with him or does he live with you or what's the situation like?
So it doesn't live with me, which brings me to what I was saying about certain decisions that parents make. So at a point in time, I was in school, and when it was about 6 months, thereabouts, I had to write exams, but there was nobody with me. And I understand that my mom could actually not do anything because she's a teacher, she has to go to school. And I was also living with this person. So it was decided. I can't remember who decided it, but it was decided that he should go stay with his dad's mom
Okay.
since it was already on formula. And
Yeah.
so that went on like that till I finished my ND. And when I finished my ND, I went to pick him because I remember the agreement was that, okay, when you're done with your ND, you
You
can
can
come and pick
come.
him. But I am very, very present in his life in
Okay.
all areas. I am very present. So I went to pick him up, and after I picked him, we were together for a term together before I started doing my IT. And now this is where they made that decision. I started doing my IT, and because it was far from where I was staying, IT students, you're not being paid or
Yeah.
anything. But I really wanted it. I really needed it because prior to that time, I already felt I was in a cage. How was I supposed to like break out of that cage?
Yeah.
I knew I have so much potential. I wanted to start teaching in a school in my area. Then I think they wanted to pay like 9,000, one school like that. But I'm just like, you know what, let me just go and do this IT. This would open more doors of
Yeah.
opportunities for me. And at that point, during the holidays, my son's grandmom, the other grandmom,
Okay.
said, "Oh, could you come stay with us? Let him just come for the holidays." And so he went, and they registered him in a school without telling me.
Oh.
Yes, he was registered in a school. His dad already knew that he was already going to school because sometimes he will come see him and all that. They registered him in a school and the likes. And because for me, I really needed to do my IT. And at that point, I just felt that was the best thing for him because nobody else was saying, you know what, we're going to take him, let him stay with me or let him stay with us, and we're going to handle this whole situation. Nothing like that was happening. It was just like, okay, so what exactly are we going to do? There's nothing we can do. So I just said, you know what, no problem, let's just stay there. A lot of people don't understand this part because sometimes you're like, okay, my son doesn't stay there. Why now? This, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, sometimes you have to let go of some things for you to actually, if I'm not okay, it will not be okay.
Of course.
I mean, I'm talking about a period where, you're buying diapers. You can't buy diapers in bulk. You're buying one, 15 naira. He will eat noodles every day, go to school, was always eating noodles. And he's in the school, he's tired. Sometimes he will not even want to eat the noodles. And now I have this opportunity to, even though it was just an internship, I had this opportunity to actually do something else.
Yeah.
And I had to take it. What else was I supposed to do? So
Okay.
at that point, I felt like they could have fought harder.
Are your
Like,
parents, right?
yeah, you know what? Okay, you just go do what you have to do. We've got this.
Okay.
But they didn't do that.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm sure it came from a place of, yes, she's definitely going to marry this person. And she is with this son is with our mother-in-law.
Okay.
Even though we weren't married, but it's like, okay, my parents are not the kind of people that will feel like you're going to have a child for someone and not marry the person. I never thought I was going to be that person as well.
Okay. So what happened? Why did you not get married to him? Was it because you decided to do your IT? You saw things outside your world or your personal world at that point? Or was it something else?
Okay, so even if I had not gotten pregnant, the relationship would not have gone far. Because I think I knew him for like 3 months, thereabouts, before I got pregnant. So that means I didn't really get to know him before that happened. And so there are certain behaviors, there are certain things that happened. And at that point, I am so glad I decided to say, you know what? I am just done with this whole thing. I want to be with somebody that is reliable, someone that I can rely on. Of course, later on, I started hearing stuff like, oh, maybe because it doesn't have money. And I'm like, bro, so all those times that I stayed with this person, and if I have, I mean, things were cheaper then. If you have rice in the house with 200 naira, you can buy rodo 15 naira, buy tomato 15 naira, and buy, all those mala fish 100 naira. Just fry it and
Okay,
then you're
decent
fine.
meal,
All
yeah.
these times, like you guys didn't see all of this, but now all of a sudden, because I said no, you guys are like, what's happening? The breaking point for me was when he was, violent.
Oh, okay.
And that was it. Of course, that wasn't enough for them to say, like, that wasn't enough for you to decide that, oh, I don't want to be with this person. But as young as I was then, I knew that even with the littlest things that somebody does to you that is violent will probably get worse
Of course, over time.
over time. And so I just said, that's it.
Okay. Now, looking back at the past now and with your present life, what you do, your work and all of that, how does the pain resonate with you right now and the gratitude from then resonate with you right now?
So the pain, I wouldn't say I have pain anymore. I would just say that what I have is just unresolved. What's that word? What's that word? Is it unresolved? I wouldn't call it trauma because I'm talking about it now, which is
Yeah.
exactly why I'm also here. Because there's something about you talking about something that eases up whatever it
Yeah, it
is that
shows
has
your
been built.
healing.
Exactly. And last year was my self discovery year, and of course this year is still going on. So I think this year will just be me making peace with some of the things that happened to me in the past and finally just talking about them, letting all those things go. So with everything that I do now, you see, right up to the point of when I had my son, everything that happened before then,
Okay.
I'm grateful for those things because now I have him. Because there are certain decisions, if I had gone to, sometimes I'm like, oh, maybe I should have gone to school in Lagos. Maybe I should have, if I had gone to school in Lagos, I would not have met my son's dad and my son would not be here. So every decision that I made before then,
Yeah.
every decision that someone else made on my behalf before then, I'm grateful for those things because it brought me my son. But after then, I'm also grateful because I am here today. I'm not where I want to be yet, but looking back at some of the things that happened, I am so grateful. Very
Okay.
grateful.
Let's talk a bit about motherhood. I know your son doesn't live with you, but there's the place where a mother wants her son to be a child, basically, wants her child to be near her, wants to wake up and see her child, wants to do things with her child. Do you have any regrets about, your child not being with you?
Yeah. Yes, actually.
And you would wish that it stays with you right now?
So right now, people are like, why can't he still stay with you and all that? But like I said, I'm still doing what's best for him because my
Okay.
mom still works. I work. I relocated to Lagos one time. I came back. I am always on the move. And there are certain experiences that I had when I was younger. My mom used to work in a bank. My dad worked as an editor in a company. And, they will go to work. Myself and my brother will go home and we'll start roaming the streets. I mean, there was one
Okay.
auntie that we were supposed to be staying with, but sometimes I'm like,
No.
where's even this lady? She will just disappear. And that moment we'll start roaming the streets and I just don't want that for him. I don't want that for him. So my mom still works, which means she comes home, she gets home late, and there is somebody out there who has more time for
To
him.
care for him.
Exactly. So I feel like that's just the best thing. I mean, what if he's in boarding? So I always pick him up for the holidays. I see him every now and then, which
Okay.
is why a lot of people don't even know that he doesn't live with me. Because once we're together, we're together.
Okay.
Even during school period, sometimes I just show up randomly. So we're very, very much like we have a very solid relationship. Even though, yes, I would have wished things were different. Growing up, I'll feel like, oh, when I have my kids, I want to read to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that you're speaking. I want you to speak very well. I want us to have this relationship. But sometimes I've come to understand that life is not just a one-way street.
Of course, of course. Now, looking back at what you experienced, experience then, what would you say to young mothers out there today who lack support? Who you think should get more support from their parents, relatives, and there's the what's the word now? There's the talk behind young mothers, how people shouldn't teenage pregnancy, how people shouldn't get pregnant, young ladies shouldn't get pregnant in their teenage stage, and how it helps them, how it shapes them into who they are today. And sometimes the society neglects them, their parents neglect them. I'm glad that you got support,
Yeah.
but for young mothers out there who are not getting the support they need, what do you think they should do?
First of all, I'm going to start from the parents. There are certain conversations that I feel like parents should have with their kids.
Okay.
My son has asked me before. I was shook. Let me just use the word shook when he asked me about where he came from, and he kept on,
Asking.
asking. And I just had a feeling that he probably heard something, because why are you asking me all of these things? I just said, oh, you came from God. And the moment I said that, I remember I posted on my WhatsApp and somebody said, are you sure this is what you should say to him? So the next morning, I told myself that I was actually going to speak to him about, maybe not go very deep, but just
Yeah.
to let him know about certain things, because you have to speak to your kids about sex. Maybe have how you can protect yourself. Don't shy away from conversations like that, whether you're the mom or the dad. If your wife is not having the talk with your child, you do it, or just speak to your wife and then have that talk. So it starts from there. I mean, we're trying to like prevent any pregnancies, because
Yeah.
let's face it, if I didn't have certain support, I would have stopped school.
Yeah.
And my parents are educated. Of course, they knew you can't stop school. I would have stopped school, maybe get married to this person and all that. And it would have been one of the worst decisions ever. But to prevent certain things, I feel like parents should talk to their kids about topics that they shy away from, because whether you like it or not, it will happen. So let them know about preventive ways, protection, all of those things. But if it happens, just support them. Just
Okay.
support them. That
Okay.
is the best thing you can do. Just support them and still make sure that it might be tough, but still make sure that they get their dream. I mean, I can talk like this. Some other person might not be able to see here right now.
Yeah.
What if I had stopped school? I've always known I was meant for so much more. So, but what if I didn't have that support? What if I had stopped school? What if my parents just said, oh, no, 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 we don't even want you in this house? Maybe I would have been forced to do certain things that I shouldn't have done, just to make ends meet and do all of that. Even though we didn't have so much, I still had support. And then about the society, yes, I had support from my parents, I had support from my brother, and that was enough. So I didn't really see all those other external factors.
Yeah.
There are people in my school who wanted to come see. On the day that was supposed to be the naming, there was no naming, because this person in question did not plan for anything, and everybody kept asking him. He didn't say anything. There was no naming. I knew some of the people who were supposed to be my friends. I heard later that they just wanted to come see that, see what's
What is
going
happening
on.
here?
And people just have that mindset that we don't want to talk to her, we don't want to do this. But I didn't really care so much about them, because I was used to being a loner. So whatever it is that you think. So that is what I would say. Yes, talk to your kids about protection. Talk to them about how they can make informed decisions.
Yeah.
Even if they want to, do whatever, but they have to be wise. And then if it happens, you should just support them. I mean, these are your kids.
Okay. All right. So at this point, you've mentioned that you're healing. You discovered yourself again last year, and you're
Yeah.
still in your healing phase. What does healing look like for you? For the future, for now, and for the future.
Well, first of all, healing means I don't have resentment for anybody. I can talk about it now. I have a very good relationship with my parents, with my mom, with my dad, and it's one of the most beautiful things ever,
Okay, I
especially
should
with my
ask
mom.
this. Sorry for cutting you short. Were you ever, or did you ever talk about this with your parents, about the hurt you felt from the past?
Um, yes, but sometimes parents have a way of, I'm not gonna say sorry, but I'm going
Of
to act
course.
like I'm sorry. Do you understand? Because when I spoke to my dad about how this person was violent, I expected a different reaction from him. Okay, you want to say this person walked in. Like, Why did you not stand up and just maybe like punch him or something? That didn't happen. So I spoke to him about it, and I can't remember what he said, but you know, I could see in his eyes that he was sorry, but he didn't tell me he was sorry. Same with my mom. For my mom, things were a bit different because before I even had my son, we weren't so close. We always fought for
Okay.
some reason. And it was when I had my son that I saw a different side of her. I was at the hospital and I couldn't breastfeed him for whatever reason. I don't know. I think my body was just like, I'm not ready or something. So my mom sat down. I was there. My mom sat with my son and she sat with him from night till morning. At intervals, I'll open my eyes, I'll see her. She's feeling sleepy, but I just saw a different side of her. That's something that I didn't know she
She
was
had
capable
in
of.
her. Huh?
Yes, I just saw a different side of her. And everything that I felt before then, every, resentment or whatever, I just melted away.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So now let's go back to you were talking about healing.
Yeah, so healing for me means being able to talk like this. There was a time when, if I'm talking about this, trust me, I'm just going to be like Willie, and everybody will be like, oh my God, sorry. But then I'm able to talk about it, and I'm not talking from a place of pain.
Same,
I'm
yeah.
talking from a place of wanting to like share my story. I'm talking from a place of healing. I've healed pretty much
Okay.
it. So healing for me means being able to move forward and not have resentment, being able to look back and say, okay, yeah, these things did happen to me, but right now I'm in a better place and I can talk about it and not feel hate or resentment for anybody involved, anybody at all.
Okay, so if somebody is going through a similar situation now, they're confused, what would you say to them?
Okay, confused about
Say confused about, okay, let's start from the teenage pregnancy thing. So there's somebody listening who's pregnant who doesn't even know if she should pick up her phone to call her parents like you did.
Yeah.
Some of us are not so close to our parents. I'm sure if I had gotten pregnant, I wouldn't have picked up my phone to tell my mom or my
Oh,
dad. I would
wow.
have called my sister or somebody else. So if somebody is in that situation right now, or somebody is in that situation where they're dealing with being a single mother, how to navigate life and all of that, you discovered yourself. Some people are still trying to discover
Yeah.
and heal through that phase. What would you say to them?
Okay, so for anybody listening right now, a teenager that is pregnant or whatever, I can tell you that this doesn't stop anything. Whatever it is that you've heard about how, oh, you're not going to make it in life, that's not it. And so if you have people that you can speak to, do not be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Even if people don't want to help you, if they don't come to you, because sometimes people they just want to mind their business.
Yeah.
It might not even be the kind of love that you need right now, might not come from your parents. It could come from church. Yes, I mean, sometimes church can be dicey, but it could actually come from church. It could come from a sister that you met in your area one time. It could come, just look back. And if you don't have any kind of support whatsoever, at the end of the day, you have to just be strong for yourself. You just have to. But knowing that there is something more out there for you, I think would give you the zeal, because I have seen a lot of single moms who had to do things by themselves, and kudos to them. I mean, we see them and then we see that they eventually make things work.
Yeah.
Trust me, things are tough. I was still telling a friend of mine that was having issues, with work and all that. As a daughter wanted to celebrate her first birthday. And I'm like, you can still afford a cake. I could not afford a cake at my son's first birthday. I remember one sister in my school then, Auntie for me, we had to go and buy cake tools at Songo. We used pots
To make the
to
bake it
bake the cake overnight, and the cake was a bit messy, but we did it. I could count the number of clothes that my son had. I would go to, antenatal. I would see all these other parents with all these nice clothes, and I'm just going to be like, I knew the number of clothes that this boy had then. So the truth is, it will get better. At that point that it's happening, you might be like, oh, why me? Why is this? But having a positive mindset about life, I think that is one thing that helped me. Sometimes people ask me, do you even go through a lot? So you're always, because I can be very, I can be very silly, but those are the ways that I cope with whatever is happening. So just reach out to someone, reach out to your mom, even if you've not had a good relationship, you'll be surprised at how she might just feel like, oh my God, just speak to her, speak to your dad, speak to whoever it is from the heart. And for every single mom out there, I know that who do not have help right now, maybe financially or physically, because I know how tough that can be.
Yeah.
So I'm just sending them virtual hugs. And like I said, just keep believing that you can actually do it. And then eventually that will happen.
Okay, so we're rounding off now. I should have asked those questions earlier, but let me just ask.
Okay.
Do you think you were a wild child growing up?
I wasn't. And I think that's why, you mentioned something that maybe my mom was disappointed. I didn't see disappointment in her eyes because I was always indoors. Before I got admission, I would be in the house for 2 weeks. As long as there's food, I would not step out of our compound. I would be indoors. I would read books, do all of that. So I wasn't a wild child in that regard. So I think that was why they were like, oh, okay,
Let's just go with this.
let's just go with this. So I feel like maybe if I was a wild child, maybe if they were always like, oh, why did you come back late? What is this happening? If that happens, I don't know what the situation would have been like. Because I remember after that semester, I went home. My dad, my brother, everybody was home. I was really quiet. I just entered. And the only thing my dad said was like, maybe if he had known, maybe we would have done something about it before it got to that stage. But before then, so I wouldn't say I was a wild child. I was a goofy child. I was weird.
Yeah.
I was a weirdo, but I wasn't a wild child. So I think that made it easy for me.
Okay, so I was going to ask about if you ever considered abortion at that point, at that particular time when you discovered, oh, I'm pregnant, what should I do? Did you ever consider and getting a procedure done?
Okay, so let me just say this. I tried.
Oh,
Yes. Not because I knew what I was doing. I was more like a zombie. People were just making decisions all around me, and I was just following everybody's
true.
decisions. I tried, but it didn't work. So I went back again after I realized that, oh my God, I think I'm still pregnant. I went back and I just sat at the reception. I remember I just sat and I don't know. I just said, I'm not doing this thing. And I just left.
okay.
So I had, at that point, because sometimes I feel guilty, like looking at my son now, oh my God, what if that the first trial happened? But then the second time, I'm glad I made that decision myself because I was there and I don't know, I'm just like, oh my God, this isn't me or whatever. And I just left, But in a lot of cases, I like when people, like I said, I had a choice.
Yeah.
So having a choice is also very important because there are so many. I saw a video of a man with a baby. I don't know if you saw it. It went viral maybe a couple of
His
weeks.
wife abandoned.
No, not
the
even
child.
that one. He had a child. It was saying all sorts to the child.
Oh yeah, I saw a baby
go
girl.
and do ashewo and then you're
I
going
saw
to give me
that
a phone.
video.
Some people don't deserve to have kids.
Very true.
Yes.
Very true.
So sometimes when certain things happen, it is okay, always okay for them to have options. Don't stigmatize people just because they want to make this particular. I know certain things are illegal in this country, but sometimes if that's what's best for you, that's what's best for you.
Yeah.
Like I said, if everything that happened when I became an adult rather than being a 17-year-old girl who didn't know what was going on, I'm telling you, looking back now, if I was my sister, I probably would have made sure to just, you can't have a baby now. Yes, so.
All right, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing your story.
It was really beautiful.
Yes, it's
having
really
to like
beautiful.
speak about it, and then I'm smiling. Oh my days! And you've not even tried to give me tissue. That's
Okay, I saw at some point that you got a bit teary.
Yeah.
Well, I
got a bit
saw that
teary,
you
but
managed that.
Trust me, I would have. It would have been a show, but being able to talk about it, so
Yeah, shows that you've healed. Shows that you've
Exactly.
healed, and I'm so happy for you.
I'm happy for me too.
All right, so you've heard from Fumilayo. It's been a journey of pain, healing, and gratitude. But she's here today, strong, happy, and yes, she mentioned she did not even, before she would have cried, but now she did not even get to shed a tear. So that's healing for her. And I hope that you also find your healing. You discover yourself and you make good use of your time here on Earth. My name remains Daisy, and this is another episode of the Bursting Loose series. Do well to subscribe to all our social media platforms at Talk and Tones, and please do subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Because without your subscription, we ain't going nowhere. So do well to support us, subscribe, and follow us as well. Until next week, I like to say stay jiggy. Until then, bye for now.